Let me reel this in real quick, because we're going to need to. Hands are going to start flying on the tape. All right, gentlemen. Let's talk about Jermaine Johnson, defensive end from Florida State. This is an 87.67 in our consensus grades. Very highly rated player, very productive player this year in both the run and the pass phases of the position. Joe, one of our top edge defenders and one of our most loaded top of the first round position groups this year. What makes Jermaine Johnson such a special talent?
Balanced skill set. He's a guy that, like you mentioned, run and pass ability in terms of defense, and he plays hard, and he's got really good hands, and the technique's there, and I think he just processes extremely well. We talk about vision for a defensive end and an edge player and how you can read the set of the offensive tackle and understand what they're doing and naturally be able to respond to that. And Jermaine gets that, and he's a very nuanced player in terms of understanding how to combat that block, especially against the run. And then you see him string together pass rush moves and win in a variety of ways, right? There's not just like one thing that he has in his bag to beat blocks as a pass rusher. He's got a lot of different variety, a lot of different counters, and he strings together moves extremely well. You pair that with size, athleticism, and this urgency, and you're talking about a guy that started off at the JUCO level and then gets to Georgia, kind of overlooked, didn't play a ton, but was flashy. Gets to Florida State, he's the guy, right? He's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and there was like no doubt about it. You love the glow up, and it's rooted in, I think, his ability, his natural ability in terms of technique, size, and of course a really nice athletic profile.
Real quick, I want to jump in here before we kick it to you guys. One of the things that I think is really interesting about Jermaine Johnson is we've heard a lot of teams talk about thresholds, right? They want first-round players to meet certain thresholds and certain measurables based on historical data at the position. And you hear about defensive linemen and you talk about length, right? Aiden Hutchinson, 32 and 1/8. Kayvon Thibodeau, 33 and 1/8. David Ajabo, 33 and a half. George Karlaftis, 32 and 5/8. Jermaine Johnson's 34. And I know for a lot of teams, if you want to have plus length, 34 is a magic number.
Yep.
He's 6'4" and a half, 254 pounds. He's over 250 pounds. So when you think about the measurables on top of everything that Joe talked about, and then you put the Senior Bowl on top of it, the athletic testing, you got a really complete resume here that checks so many boxes. So which one of those boxes, when you guys think about Jermaine, is one that really shows up in his game tape, and which one's one you think he can continue to build upon?
The arm length. You see it, especially in the run game. Setting the edge, he gives full lockout. He does not allow offensive linemen to get into his chest plate and control him in the run game. Tight ends have such a hard time dealing with him as well. And he's so violent and physical. There's a rep against Notre Dame where they kicked him in at 1-tech. And it's a short run set. And he blows it up, like destroys the center, gets back there, stuffs the run. And there's plays where we talk about receivers being able to run every route and make it all look the same. That's his pass rush. And we
first three steps.
First three steps all look the same. You don't know if he's coming inside or out. And he's a guy that can rush from a wide angle. He can also rush from a shorter angle as well. And just his handwork, the counter moves, he's a complete player. And when a guy like him, dare I ask, what does the other guys that are in front of him do better? Because he has literally a full skill set, mature hands, explosive, physical, violent, strong, and he's a headsy guy. I call him a ball locator, especially in the run game. There's plays where the running back is supposed to press and they're trying to get outside of him. He plays the peek and shed so well that he sees where the ball is, sheds, and then gets to it, whether it's backside or front side. He's a complete player to me.
Yeah, I agree. This guy's probably...
I saw you perk up when he said, what do those guys in front of him do better? Keith went...
Yeah, now I was going to let my guy Damian take care of it, though. But this guy's probably a consistent top 10 pick, and I think he's still underrated. I think he's that good. And Damian said it, like, what do the other guys do that he doesn't do? And I don't think you can point to one thing. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson has a little bit, he's better with his hands somewhat, but you can coach that. But I think what we seen in the Senior Bowl was this guy just got after it. Like, you felt him every single play. Like, if he would have played the game and he'd have finished the week, no doubt in my mind he would have been an MVP. Like, he was the standout guy. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, why isn't this guy considered as, like, why is he in that rotation to be the number one overall pick?
I mean, I'll answer your question.
Okay, let's go.
Aiden Hutchinson, I think he's more powerful than Jermaine Johnson. Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't think their first steps are necessarily comparable. And I'm a Jermaine Johnson guy, so I no disrespect to Jermaine Johnson. I think why I like and appreciate Jermaine Johnson so much is, I think Joe's first words was the balanced skill set. He doesn't have many deficiencies. He's a loose-limbed athlete. He can bend. He does have some power, especially in the run game. He strings together moves, inside, outside of versatility in terms of his rush plan. But what is his absolute top end, like 10 out of 10 trait? And I don't know if he has one.
I give him run defense. I give him run defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Run defense, okay, but we pay edges to get after the quarterback. And I personally don't think he has that rare get off or that kind of explosive bull rush power like a KT or Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, he had 12 sacks, and I'm pretty sure that might be more than Kayvon Thibodeau in 2 seasons. So he showed the ability to get after the quarterback.
I'd say if you want to come after KT, you're going after the wrong guy because context, he missed 3 games due to injury. It has something to do with it. But
I will also say, when you talk about Jermaine Johnson, one thing that we saw at the Senior Bowl that showed that is contrary to the tape, he was kind of let loose at the Senior Bowl. Where you see him on tape, he's a little more of a restricted rusher. At the Senior Bowl, he literally got after it. He converted that speed to power with the long arm, with the two-hand bull rush as well. His power isn't just standing, being in a stationary position and shooting into guys as a run defender, but he does convert that speed to power as a rusher as well. And then the bend. I know for a fact he's got more bend than Aiden, and he has more bend than Kayvon. Kayvon is also a kind of tight hip rusher as well. So, he's got more bend than Trayvon. So he has more bend than all 3 of those guys. He doesn't have the first step burst that Kayvon has, but his first step burst is legit. And again, he has that speed to power, the handwork, the maturity as a rusher, and he's such a great run defender. Like I said, it's not really many things that these guys have over this young man.
No, look, let me just say it. I like Jermaine Johnson, but you asked me a question, I gave you my answer. I don't think he's as explosive as KT. It's not a crime. I love Jermaine Johnson.
Let me reel this in real quick, because we're going to need to. Hands are going to start flying on the table. I don't think Jermaine Johnson's here without the Senior Bowl, right?
Right.
He's probably somewhere in here as that fringe 1 value predictively. Mm-hmm. We were putting him before the Senior Bowl in the 20s in our mock drafts. But now he's at a space where he's pretty consistently getting mocked in the top 12 picks.
Yeah.
And I agree with what Damian had said as far as his rush versatility at the Senior Bowl, showcasing a lot more diversity with his ability to win with his hands. I would agree that I don't think his proven resume from a pass rush perspective quite measures up to our top guy here, but that's a conversation we can have another day, because I don't want to reopen Pandora's box here. With Jermaine Johnson, defensive end, Florida State, one of our top 10 prospects in this year's 2022 NFL Draft.